Hello, it's your girl Deja Tamir, and I am coming back making another thought-provoking video. In today's topic, we are going to be discussing something that all of us use on a daily basis, and that will be the calendar. Before I start this video, I want to mention that this is not a conspiracy theory. It's recorded history that they never encourage us to question. Let's get straight into the video. Most people, as well as myself, never thought to question the calendar every day. We're taught that it's normal and that it's accurate. When you do your research, the names of the months as well as the holidays that we celebrate does not align logically in today's society. Today I'm going to break down where the calendar originally comes from, why many months are named after Roman gods and goddesses, how we really have 10 months instead of 12, and why several holidays come from pagan traditions. Let's start with the calendar that we use today. Most people don't know that today we use the Gregorian calendar. This calendar did not always exist. It was based on Roman calendars and it was man-made as well. So here's where the confusion began. Several months of the calendar is named after numerical prefixes, meaning that their names literally comes from numbers. For example, Sept as in September means 7, Oct as in October means 8, Nov as in November means 9, and Dec as in December means 10. Now here's the problem. In the calendar that we use today, Sept as in September means 9, Oct as in October means 10, Nov as in November means 11, and Dec as in December means 12. So obviously what I just said does not make any sense at all. So if September means 7, it shouldn't be the 9th month. If October means 8, it shouldn't be the 10th month. If November means 10, it shouldn't be the 11th month or the 9th month. And if December means 10, then it shouldn't be the 12th month. You get it? So why does this happen? Originally, the Roman calendar started in March, not January. So March was month 1, April was month 2, May was month 3, and June was month 4. So that means that New Year's did not happen in January. It happened in March. You know what? This actually makes sense when you look at nature. March has the season, which is spring. And in spring, plants grow, trees bloom, animals reproduce. And you know, me being a girl from Chicago, life starts after wintertime is over. And the wintertime is very dull, very cold, and can be very depressing. But soon as spring hits, that's when, you know, the Chicagoans feel alive again. And we are able to really, you know, just make up for, you know, the time we really lost being in the house all day in the wintertime. So it just feels like it should be the new year because it's like we're, you know, starting, you know, we're just starting, you know, going outside again and, you know, just breathing the air and looking at nature and stuff like that. So it makes sense pretty much. But January and February were added in the beginning of the year, and that's what messed up the numerical structure. And you may ask, just like I did, how did the calendar get this way? Well, it was adjusted by the ones in high places, which is the elites, also known as the reptilians, to cause confusion in the world. And you know who is the author of confusion? The enemy himself. So it's not a surprise at all. The enemy, he always wants to confuse us because he is a lie and he doesn't want people to know the truth about what's really going on in this world. The world is a stage for real, and you have to be aware, and also you have to unlearn and relearn everything because the things that you think may make sense really don't, you know, depending on what it is. But most of the stuff that we learned about in school doesn't really make sense. And honestly, once we got out of school, we barely even used, you know, what we were taught. You know, we were supposed to learn about credit. We were supposed to learn about taxes, but we never learned that stuff, and that's something that's very vital for us to learn. But they didn't really teach us that because they wanted to keep us down and broke, and you know, just be, you know, just poor and not think, you know, not think in order for us to elevate and go higher. So you know, it worked, but it ain't gonna work no more because people like me like to expose the truth so that people can wake up and be aware of what, you know, the elites are really doing to us. Now I'm going to be discussing how the holidays and the months came from pagan practices as well as pagan deities. Number 1, many holidays celebrated began as festivals as well as honoring false gods, nature spirits, fertility, or the dead instead of God himself. Even the months today carry names of pagan gods and goddesses, and holidays align with these traditions. Starting with January, which is named after the Roman god named Janus, which is the god of beginnings and endings. Early New Year's celebrations honored him with feasts, rituals for luck and transitions. Next, we have the month of February, associated with Lupercalius, in honoring Faunus, the Roman god of fertility, with purification rites and mounting blessings. Next, we have the month of March, which is named after Mars, the Roman god of war. Festivals in this month honored him and marked the start of the military season. Next, we have the month of April, which is named after Aphrodite, the goddess of fertility and love. Easter timing aligns with springtime, which is for rebirthing and honoring the goddess of fertility. Next, we have the month of May, which is named after the goddess named Maya, which represents springtime as well as growth. Next, we have July, which is named after Julius Caesar, and he was known for people to worship him in Roman. Independence Day is celebrated in this month, which mirrors pagan traditions because it exalts state and human freedom, as well as national identity above submission to God's authority, blending patriotism as well as ritual celebration, rather directing honor to the Lord himself. Next, we have the month of August, which is named after the god Augusta, who is worshipped at a Roman cult. Next, we have September and Labor Day being the holiday that's celebrated in this month, which also has pagan roots because it centers honoring human, man-made works instead of God himself. And next, we have October, where Halloween is celebrated in this month. Halloween traces back to Samhain, which is a Celtic festival marking the thinning of the veil, which means separating the living from the dead. This holiday is considered pagan because when people dress up as supernatural beings, they are actually honoring demonic spirits from the dead, which is engaging with themes of death and darkness. Next, we have November, where Thanksgiving is celebrated in this month. This holiday is considered to be pagan because it's giving thanks to other deities instead of the one true God himself. And lastly, we have December, where Christmas is celebrated in this month. Christmas is considered to be pagan because it aligns with Saturnalia, which is named after Saturn, which is the god of agriculture and time. A lot of people think that Christmas is Jesus' birthday, but this holiday is really celebrating the rebirth of the sun, as well as worshiping it in the winter solstice.
So after January, which is dedicated to Janus, you had February. Now this was different because it represented an occult purification ritual, where the pagans would go through a whole purification process, offering up sacrifices to the gods of Rome. March was dedicated to Mars, the god of war. Now when we say the god of war, we're talking about to the pagans. We know that they are false gods. We know that they are demons, receiving worship to the dragon. But April was dedicated to Aphrodite and Venus, and it literally means to open the portal. I want you to remember that. May represented the goddess Maya. May was dedicated to Maya, the earth goddess. June was dedicated to Juno, the goddess of women, childbearing, and marriage. July, listen to this carefully, was dedicated to Julius Caesar, and he was lifted up as a god. August was dedicated to Augustus Caesar. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. But he also was lifted up as a god. And he was the one that was actually ruling when Jesus Christ came to the earth. He was the one who took the place of Julius Caesar. In fact, many say he was the first official Caesar. But here's where it gets interesting. September is from the word septem, meaning 7. October is from the word octo, meaning 8. November is the word novum, meaning 9. And December is from the word decem, meaning 10. Think of how foolish this is. That on the Gregorian calendar, September, which means 7, is the 9th month. October, which means 8, is the 10th month. November, which means 9, is the 11th month. And December, which means 10, is the 12th month. Brothers and sisters, this is not logical any way you look at this. It's utter foolishness. But now let us see the hidden occult message within the lineup of the 12 months of the year. Janus, this false god of doors. And they say he is the only way you can get to the other gods. That by baptizing the people into Janus to start off the year, they would enter in through a ritual of purification, you see, but meaning February. And then March means Mars, which is the god of war. Remember what I told you earlier, that the doors of Janus were only open during war. They were always shut during a time of peace. Notice that right after March, which means war, April means to open the portal or the doors. You see? Are you starting to see the message? May represents the earth goddess. This is the bringing forth of the temples for the beast to use to set up his earthly kingdom, because man is made from the dust of the earth, you see? June is dedicated to the goddess of women, marriage, and childbirth, fertility. This is talking about that from May to June, the earth goddess would bring forth a man-child. July meaning Julius Caesar, that from the earth will rise up a temple by the name of Julius Caesar. and following him, Augustus, the very ruler that would be alive during the time when the Messiah would be born into the earth. In September, October, November is a representation of Mystery Babylon because Bavel means confusion. Is it not confusion, brothers and sisters, to call September, which means 7, 9, to call October, which means 8, 10, November 9 to 11, December, which means 10, 12? Is this not confusion? So if we read it as a sentence, the mystery says this, that through Janus, those who participate in Mystery Babylon will enter through an occult purification ritual, being offered up to false gods. And that through Mars, the god of war, will allow the door and portal to remain open, you see? And from the earth goddess, and the goddess of women, marriage, and childbirth, the dragon setting up his temples. Because remember, you have no choice but to also add all the popes into this equation, you see? So this represents the building up of earth temples, human beings, that the dragon could seat himself into to operate on the chessboard of deception and do his bidding on the earth. Are you seeing it now? But remember earlier I told you that Augustus, that after Julius Caesar,
Symbols that are still used in celebrations. Christmas trees equal tree worship. Easter eggs and bunnies equal fertility and rebirth. Halloween costumes and imagery equals spirits, death, and fear. Valentine's and Cupid equals lust and romance deities. And New Year's rituals equal luck and fate. Number 3, holidays often promotes worldly and destructive desires. Christmas equal greed and consumerism. Valentine's Day equal obsession and fornication. Halloween equals fear and darkness. And New Year's equals drunkenness and empty resolution. I believe that this information is vitally important to know because there's a lot of deception in this world and there's a lot of lies that we've been told that we never even paid attention to because we don't question anything. But now we are in a day and age where, this generation is really gaining knowledge through social media and people are really revealing what's the truth and what's, the lies that are in this world. If you don't know already, the world is a stage. Everything is false pretty much. And we are living in a matrix society. And, like I said before, I am the type of woman that questions everything like, why do we have holidays? Is it really a distraction from, knowing who we truly are? What's their agenda? What's their plan? What's their motive? Because you could be really wasting your time participating in things, knowing that you need to do the work on yourself in order to truly know who you are in this world and what your purpose is. So remember that. Remember, your why. Remember why you're here and stuff like that. And stop participating in things just because other people are doing it. Most people in the world that are doing the same thing are going to lead you to nowhere because it's rare that you see people that's really trying to know who they are. And when you really go on your spiritual awakening and start learning the truth, you're going to realize these holidays have a disturbing meaning behind it. And I'm going to give you an example now. As you all may know, New Year's is coming up in America as January 1st. And January is named after the god Janus, which is known for beginnings and endings, transition, duality, and time. Janus is famously depicted with two faces, one face looking at the past and one face looking at the future. He is also known for walking in a demonic door. Research states that on New Year's Eve at 12 a.m., that is when a portal will open. In esoteric and occult beliefs, rituals during this time influence the transition of the portal being open. So, by celebrating New Year's in January, you are walking through a spiritual gateway. And if the gateway is presided over a false deity, which is Janus, the person that is celebrating New Year's is walking into a trap as well as a dark portal without even realizing it. Research also states that the world system is seen to look harmless and fun, but carries a dark evil agenda behind it. By making New Year's look like a huge celebration of fireworks and parties, the enemy himself make it seem as though something harmful is a secular holiday, which really is a spiritual ritual of darkness. Also, this logic follows if you enter a new year through a tainted door, you start the year under spiritual warfare. And this is the reason why so many people can make New Year's resolutions, but it ends up failing anyway. You are unknowingly participating in a satanic ritual and paying homage to a false deity. And the people that celebrate New Year's go through a dark portal, which is called the in between. And if you don't know now, you know. This is why people get cursed year after year, because they don't know that they are participating in something that is considered demonic and satanic. And since the enemy is the God of this world, everything that you may think is true is actually a lie in the art of confusion. This goes to show, let's stop making normal things normal and start asking questions.
What if I told you that when they would celebrate the New Year's, they would pay homage to Janus, and they would even give a promise to this false god of what they plan to do to serve him? Where do you think the New Year's resolution comes from? My question is, did you make a New Year's resolution? Because if you did, you were actually offering up a very ancient tradition to Janus, to make a promise unknowingly to this principality. And do you know what the word libation means? It's a drink that is offered up to a deity. Do you know one of the main things they would do at the beginning of the new year? They would offer drinks to Janus. Wine. They would offer up wine to Janus. Why do you think so many people drink alcohol and pop bottles for the new year? You see? But this is where it really gets deep, because Janus is called the door, the beginning and end, when it comes to Mystery Babylon, because we know who the real door is. We know who the real beginning and end is. However, this mystery, there's a mystery here that we're going to expose. Janus is also called the in-between, because he's a middle ground, he's a middle space between beginning and end. And when they would celebrate the new year, they believed they would literally enter in and through Janus into the new year, hence being baptized into Janus. You remember those shows like Stranger Things and others like it, where they would talk about a place called the in-between. It was in between two dimensions, and they could go there. But notice there were demons in this place called the in-between. This is that demonic portal that opens up on New Year's Eve. Because remember, they believe, because remember, this principality is called the doorway into the new year. And if you're going to enter into something, you got to go through the door. So when people celebrate New Year's Eve, by default, whether they know it or not, they are participating in this ancient ritual, and they are walking through Janus, the in-between. They are going through this dimensional, satanic, dark portal. And this is why so many people get cursed year after year after year. Things fall apart. Things get worse because people are not even realizing they're participating in not only this ancient ritual, but paying homage to a false god that was raised up by the dragon, by the first Caesar, who was lifted as a demigod, that would raise up this false god Janus as a direct insult and blasphemy against Jesus Christ. By raising up this ancient principality, the god of the gods, the door, the way, the beginning and the end, the one who holds the keys. These titles, all those titles belong to Jesus Christ. Did you know that on some of the coins, did you know that Janus was also depicted on a fishing boat? I mean, what mockery. What was one of the very first places that Jesus preached from? The fishing boat. But let's go a little deeper with it. Did you know that the very word janitor is offered up to Janus? Because janitors are the gatekeepers and they hold the keys, you see? But we know who the true key holder is. And I remember many years ago in a dream, the Son of God appeared to me with a whole ring of keys, and he had a janitor outfit on. It is utterly amazing that I'm seeing this revelation. See, he knew back then, I wouldn't know it then. But there's a time and a place for everything. He is the true key holder, not this counterfeit Janus. But wait, brothers and sisters, it goes deeper. What if I told you that if you got married, you notice that when people get married, they like to have that door behind them, that arch behind them. What if I told you that Janus was also worshipped as beginning and end of life and death, and also marriage? That when pagans would be married, they would dedicate their marriage to Janus. My question is, how many of y'all listening to this message right now that are married actually had that doorway, that arch, during their ceremony? You didn't even know it, and you wonder why your marriage is where it's at. So we have to also include that in the prayer for you to renounce that curse, to offer up your marriage to Janus. And you know, it makes me wonder. This false god Janus had two faces. You ever heard that terminology? Oh, he or she was two-faced? Again, it's another reference to Janus. But it got me thinking, could this be why there are so many people that are struggling with multiple personalities, schizophrenia? Could this have at least something to do with it? That if they unknowingly pay homage and worship to a false god, to a principality with two faces, could it cause a satanic door to open up in the minds of people to be like the one they worship? Remember, the Bible makes it clear, when they worship and make sacrifices to idols, they become like unto them. Now I want to stop for a moment, as this video is...
And just remember, always do your research on things I'm talking about regarding the truth, because just like you, I'm still trying to figure it out too, and that's my message.